Five, four, three, two, one.
All right, week number 16 of H2H Tasos. I know I said it with 15 last week, but week number 16 just sounds crazy. It sounds like the NFL season is over. I'm probably, deflecting and trying to distract and just filibuster because you were coming off of a winning week last week. Now, before I let you gloat and talk about how good the week was, can we both admit, like, while we're on the same team for a second, that was a pretty damn good week for both of us. Like 3-1 for both of us. That's pretty awesome. I know you'll take your victory lap, but yeah, I mean, come on now.
You know what, Ev? In the spirit of the holidays, I'm not going to rub in your face. I'm not going to shit talk. I'm not going to do all the normal stuff I normally do. Because I'm still 4 games behind, so I don't really have the room to do it.
By the way, the record is 9 wins for me, 5 wins for Tasos, so 9-5, 5-9. There's still a lot of work to do from you, but yes, keep going.
Yeah, I can't get too overzealous because I am still facing a massive deficit, and although there is still time, we're running out of time, like you just mentioned. It is crazy that the NFL season's we have 3 weeks left, including this week of regular season play, but I'm not going to crap on you because you're having an incredible season. And like even this past week, like I couldn't even really enjoy the victory because I barely squeaked out a win. If it wasn't for the double down on that fade me last week, I'd be looking at you now 10-4 to 4-10. And yeah, we both went 3-1.
Which I gotta give you some props here. You took the underdog in the fade me round. If you're a new viewer, this will all make sense pretty damn soon. But you took the underdog in the fade me round and double down on it, and you took the dub. So I gotta give you credit there.
Yeah, it was ballsy, but at this point in the year, I kind of need ballsy in order to beat you because hats off to you. You're having a great season. I mean, I can't take that away from you. I mean, we're both having solid years. I think you definitely are having a slightly better season based off of the record and whatnot. But there's been a lot of weeks where we both go 3-1, 2-2 when it comes down to these unit plays. But yeah, I'm not going to sit here and walk all over your grave and dance on your grave because you had a great week. You had a winning week. If it wasn't for Fade Me, that's the only pick that you lost was a pick that I forced you to take. The 3 picks that you handed were all winners. So
now speaking of winning week, you did see what I did on Sunday, right? Can I take? I know it's not on the H2H show, but I went 9-0 in my Sunday slate video.
I did see that. I peeped that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, come on. I should have gotten an H2H like half win for that. That's a ridiculous accomplishment.
You know what's funny too is that because obviously I do my own NFL pick show too. That you do the Oracle, and I went 9-5. I hit like 2 teasers plus money and a parlay plus money. I'm like, oh man, good week. I'm gonna go post on the channel like we had a winning week, and then I see your post where you're like, we went 9-0, crushed it. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna take my post. I'm gonna bury that, and I'm just gonna let him have his moment because I can't compete with that right now. But I mean, if you look at both our records, like on the Oracle, I was looking at this morning, I'm now 96, 64-4 on single bets. Like we're both having really good seasons.
Yeah, it's like hitting the perfect storm because obviously both of us are in the same boat of like, yeah, we're obviously going to laugh at the losses and never get too crazy high with the wins. But like this NFL season, I said it in my video for Thursday Night Football that hasn't posted yet, but I was like, I don't know what I did in a past life that like allowed me to have this NFL season this year, but I did something good because things have been good. And you're in the same boat. Like we've had killer NFL seasons. This show is mainly for us to banter back and forth and give each other crap, but like we've also just been giving great picks, which is
we've been handing a lot of winners on this show. There's another reason to watch H2H. We hand out winners.
And how do we find those winners, Tasos? Let me tee it up for you.
We go ahead and we use Outlier, ladies and gentlemen, the sponsor of today's video and all of the HGH videos here on the Guy Boston Sports YouTube channel. By the way, it's good to be back on the main. I mean, I know HGH has been here on the main channel for a few weeks now, but it just feels good to be back on the main channel in general. But yeah, Outlier is the best sports betting tool on the market, hands down. I'm not just saying that because they're a sponsor. I'm serious. If it wasn't for the sponsorship, I would still utilize Outlier. It consolidates all the data, all the information, all the insight that you guys need to make smart sports betting choices, puts it in one and easy, convenient place. I used to spend so much extra time researching and going through things like going to multiple websites and going back and forth. And now it's like, I don't even, honestly, even last year, Outlier, and that's the cool thing with Outlier, is they constantly add new things. They're constantly updating the site. Like even last year, I'd use like another site or another 2 sites on top of Outlier. This year, and I'm saying this honestly, Outlier is the only site I've been using for research. And honestly, again, 96, 64, and 4 single bet record Oracle. Even on H2H, we're having a good year. I mean, the record shows for itself. So make sure you guys check out Outlier. We do offer a special link that gives you guys a 7-day free trial. Check it out for yourself. If you don't like it, you cancel it. No cost to you guys at all. But I'm telling you guys, you're going to love it. And it truly does make you a smarter and a better sports bettor. So go ahead and check out Outlier, special link down below in the description, 7-day free trial.
Yeah, and let me give it like a personal spin too. Like they were, so when the main channel went through, which you're watching on now, went through the BS and the drama, right? We don't want to rehash it, and we had to move over to the more guy boss. And like Outlier was like, instead of being like, oh well, now things could be a little dicey. Let's back away from the Guy Boston crew. They said, all right, how can we help? What are your contacts? Let's see if we can get. They literally intervened to try and help, and they still supported. So I mean, even if you guys are watching this now and you're like, I don't know about trying it. It's like, well, if you support us, they supported us, so go support them. Let's make a nice little love triangle. But Tasos, what do you say we jump into this show? I know we've been rambling for a little while, but you know, people need to hear the ramble. That's what it is.
Yep, I'm ready. One step at a time, one hit at a time, one round at a time. Whatever Rocky Balboa said when he was 60 years old fighting in whatever Rocky 6, I think it was.
Yeah,
you know, just keep fighting.
Well, you can have hope for your 5-9 record, but those were movies. So let's see how reality treats us.
Damn good
here.
ones too. Don't shit on Rocky Balboa.
See, damn it, your rebuttals are tremendous. Yeah, good ones. But all right, guys, you're gonna
Rocky Balboa.
You're gonna. I saw when I went to Philly. Real quick tangent. And there was such a long line for the Rocky statue, and I was like, "That's tough, man." I mean, this is a fictional story. I know the movies are great. I know Sylvester Stallone. Like, this is all amazing, but why is there an hour-long line for the statue?
He's an American hero. He may not be actually real, but he's an American icon.
You're only saying that because you're tying him now to your hopes in the show. But okay,
did I wear Kelly Green? Did I wear Kelly Green for a reason? Maybe, I don't know.
GuyBostonSports.com/store. Go pick up that merch. Let's jump into the wheel. If you guys don't know how this works, we're going to spin wheels. It's going to dictate how our sports picks go this entire week. So, Tasos, do you want first or second pick? What are you thinking?
You know what, Ev? I want you to have it first. I want you to go ahead and take the
Well, you know what, buddy? I want you to have it. Let's root against each other here. Let's spin it.
Mainly it's because I don't want any player props to come up first. And
all right, it's going to be you. All right, we're going to get a Tasos first pick here, but guys, we're going to pop up a second wheel. This is now going to dictate which category we're in. You'll see it on your screen in a couple seconds here, and I'm going to shuffle it a few times. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. Now, you don't want player prop. Is that right, Tasos?
It's not that I don't like it. It's more the touchdown player props because I've had a really rough time this year picking up anytime touchdown scores, and I don't think I've hit one yet on H2H, so that's where I'm a little nervous. Is that area. But you know what? If I get it, I'll get it. But yeah, that's the one area where I was like, I prefer not to have that.
Yeah, I don't know if I have any like soft spots. I have a few Thursday Night Football plays I really like, but we only have one Thursday Night Football slice in the pie. So I kind of feel like I'm 50-50 on everything, which almost works in favor of you. Like, I'm not gung-ho about many spots here. So let's see what we got.
All right, let's see. Oh, okay.
Is that going to keep moving? It's wow. Wait a second. What is that?
Okay. All right.
Did your mind go to total at first?
Yeah, I was immediately like, all right, let's go through the totals.
That went close. All right, you are starting us off, and now we have totals, which I know I just said
we have spreads.
Okay, phew. I'm not gonna say what to say. You're not getting any information. All right, I do have some spreads. Go ahead.
I should let you talk.
Yeah. I would have given some. Yeah, I would have given some information for sure.
I'm gonna go ahead and empty the chamber right away. My favorite pick. I'm not gonna let you. I'm not gonna let you have this. I'm piggybacking off what I just went with last week, and this line is asinine to me.
Yep, it's crazy, right? I know what you're doing.
I'm going LA Rams -3.
Why?
Against the New
Why
York
is that
Jets.
why is that the line?
Why?
Why is that the spread?
And you know what, Ev? I'm going to use my double down. I'm going to double down on the Rams -3. Is my favorite pick of the week. Maybe now listen. I said it last week, right? Maybe this is a trap, and that's what I'm falling for it. But it paid off last week. I just think, and this the only reason why I don't think this is a trap, Ev, is that Vegas all year long for whatever reason, maybe it's the Aaron Rodgers factor, they have overvalued the Jets all season long. Even after they were losing all these games, they still were favored in games. They were close underdogs to teams they should have had no business being close to. Same thing here. What? Because they beat Mac Jones and the Jacksonville Jaguars in the final 30 seconds of that game. Now all of a sudden the Jets are a good team again. The Rams just beat the Bills. They just beat the Niners, and they are coming off an extended rest because they played on Thursday Night Football. So they had 10 days rest coming into this game. The Jets are 4-10. Aaron Rodgers wants to go on another darkness retreat. He wants nothing to do with this team. He's going to be cut after the year. The Jets at this point, they're just taking their draft pick by winning anyways. At this point, you need to start thinking about the draft. The Rams have Super Bowl aspirations. They're now first in the NFC West. Why the Rams are not more than 3? Now, obviously, they are 3.5 technically. I bought the half point down for -3. It's -120 on FanDuel, but I think it's worth it to get that extra half point because you don't want to be screwed over on 3.5. But I don't get it. I genuinely don't understand why this game is so close. Unless there's an injury that I'm not aware of, and I'm looking now to see, am I stupid? Did I miss something for the Rams? I don't see it. I don't really know why the line's where it's at. Maybe you can give me some insight.
No, I mean, think about it. Roll the tape back. I knew exactly where you were going with it because it popped to the top of my list. And again, maybe we're both missing something. And normally I would say, well, Tasos, you and I, we combined for 2 brain cells in 54 beers. You know what I mean? Like that's our equation. But this NFL season, we've actually been pretty spot on with things, right? So to me, there's got to be either both of us are missing something, or this is another one where they've just thought the Rams aren't good because of their defense, right? I think that's like and it's like, okay, sure. Now the Rams are being like, I don't know, just discounted again. And yeah, 3.5. I think that's a very important number. You mentioned it. You bought the half point. Like the 3.5 almost tells me that I do think that like, odds and the books do think that they're the better team because that is such a crucial number. And you do have the factor of, you mentioned it, the Jets looking good like that was one of my cashes last week, right? The Jets team total over, but I don't know what we're necessarily missing other than maybe, and again, this is on my list. Do the Jets have so much pride that they're not going to walk out of the seat? Like, are they going to go balls to the wall now because GM, head coach, Aaron Rodgers here? You know what I mean? Like getting Devontae out. Like, are they going to go balls to the wall to try and just play the best football ever? Like now in the last few weeks of the year, that's the only reason I can think of. And it's like, how could you bet on that? You know what I mean? So
I think their pride went out the door when they lost it to Gerard Mayo and the Patriots back on October 27th.
No, fair. But this is like, you know what I mean? Like they have to somehow chin held high. Like, why do you think they won? Why do you think they put up so many points last week? Oh, to beat the Jaguars. But you know what I mean? But it's like, stink. But why do you topple it on with the like? They I think that's the only thing that I could say. I would never take the Jets in this spot. I'm just saying it's got to be at least some point. It's like a pride thing, and maybe the odds, like maybe the books are realizing that or something. Like I do not know why the Rams are not 6.5 point favorites in this one.
It genuinely, I just think it's Vegas over. I think it's because, like you actually talked about, and I didn't mention it, was like it's not just the fact that Vegas has been overvaluing the Jets all year long. Vegas has been undervaluing the Rams all year long. Why
they've been discounting them like you read about? Like it's crazy.
Why were they plus 125 on the money line last week? It's crazy. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. It's insane again to me that they're even close. Even money line minus 174. That's low for what the Rams are.
For our show here too. That's like it's out the window now, right? But like we sometimes take like higher odds just because of like it's like a versus show type thing. You could like minus 174 could have been viable here. Like it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. It's just I just don't, and I get it. The Rams defense is not very good, but again, do we really think that Aaron Rodgers in this shitty Jets offense, and I'm sorry for swearing, we just got our YouTube back. I don't want to get another strike. But, like, do you really think because they scored, 25 points on the Jaguars, that all of a sudden they're going to have to beat the LA Rams? I'm sorry, but Mac Jones, you and I have a lot of experience with Mac Jones. He put up over 20 points on this Jets defense. It's not good anymore. This team is pathetic. And honestly, I don't see why they'd want to win when losing helps them for next year. The only thing, and this is the only thing, is that Aaron Rodgers is a little bit of an asshole. Again, sorry for swearing. And he wants the Jets he doesn't want them to get the satisfaction of a top 5 pick. He wants to make sure that when he gets cut in the offseason, because make no mistake, he will not be on the Jets next year. When they kick his ass out the door, they will have like a middle of the road pick instead of having a really good pick. He wants to make sure that Gang Green gets screwed over. He even said in an interview that they were like cursed. He even called the Jets cursed. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy to me. But I'm gonna go to you now to your pick because I've been rambling for a little bit here. But I just think it's absurd that the line is this close. The Rams are far and away a better football team than the New York Jets.
Yeah, last thing on that, Aaron Rodgers is clearly developing his like media / outside of football personality. I don't know if you've seen the beef with like Ryan Clark now and whatnot. Like he is obviously he's been on the Pat McAfee show and whatnot, but he's trying to like Aaron Rodgers is thinking past football. But anyways, my play, and honestly, like if you were to look at this board, I bet you could have at some point picked this because I've just been riding them all year long. They are my future to win the Super Bowl team. The Eagles have a tough matchup this week against the Commanders. But we talked about a team that's like kind of continuously downlooked or discounted and all that. Now I'm gonna buy all the way down to 2.5. Eagles -2.5. So that's -145. Just get minus 145. We'll do -150 on FanDuel because we don't have access here to bet 365. But people watching, that's the best odds. Tasos, I know that the Commanders are good, and I really do think that we've talked about it like extensively in the show. Like, I don't know what your initial thoughts on Jaden Daniels were, but like I didn't know exactly what to make. He's literally turned the entire franchise around this year alone. He's legit. I still think people don't realize how good this Eagles team is and how good they can be if they minimize mistakes and whatnot. And even with mistakes thrown in, Saquon Barkley is freaking phenomenal. The AJ Brown last week made me so much money because I knew that Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown were friends, and everyone was shitting on how much they like hated each other. And I was like, even if they do hate each other right now, you know that one game afterwards they're gonna be like, come on, let's show these people, even if they hate each other. You know what I mean? Like everyone that like has a best.
That was an easy cash. That was like here's an easy layup. Go ahead and take it. Like
they are a team that people are thinking is the team of a few years ago, where you know they fade off at the end and whatnot. This is a very good team, and what people don't realize is how good they are defensively. This Washington team is beat up on bad defenses, and not to say this is going to be. I'm not saying this is like a Eagles route. I just think Eagles by a field goal, divisional rival. Maybe Jaden Daniels feels the pressure to some degree a little bit more or whatnot. Last time these two teams played, Jaden Daniels played, right? And it was Eagles like stomped them. I forget the score, but yeah, again, like the Eagles have been so good to me this year that taking them in a spot here, I don't think that, even if I shouldn't say this because it's going to give you some fuel. Even if they lose, I still feel like they've treated me well. That's not how H2H works, but I just can't see the better offense in my opinion and better defense.
And this year just continues to get weirder and weirder. I don't have this is on my board as well. If you go out and watch the Oracle this week, this will be one of my plays. The last time they played was November 14th. It was a Thursday night football game. The Eagles, I think I actually had the Eagles on this, maybe if not in this series, in this video, definitely on the Oracle. I loved Philly in that game. They beat them by 8. The score was closer than it actually was. The Eagles were far and away the better team in that game. I think Washington did score a touchdown late that kind of made it a little bit closer. But yeah, the Commanders also, the insights provided by Outlier, they're showing me the Commanders are 2-10 in their last 12 games as an underdog, straight up. That's not spread. That's just straight up money line. So not really good for the Commanders. Philly at that time, it was kind of an interesting point, and that was only like a month ago, but very interesting point because in that point in time, the Eagles, they were just started to get going on their run, but they hadn't really beaten a good team yet. And the Commanders were red hot. They were going into that Eagles game, and people were like,
and the Eagles were really injured, right?
Really injured.
So, yeah.
I mean, Jaden Daniels had just gotten hurt right before that game as well.
Okay. Yeah.
But the Commanders, they had just lost a tight game to the Steelers. But up to that point, I mean, they had that miracle win over the Bears. They beat the Giants. They were on a really good run. They had that good game against Baltimore. So that was kind of the turning point for Washington season because since the Eagles lost, now obviously they beat up on a couple of bad teams, Tennessee and New Orleans. But that New Orleans game was tight. And they didn't have Derek Carr. They were on like their third string quarterback, and they narrowly survived. The Saints tried to go for 2. If I'm mistaken, I think they went for 2 to win the game. They didn't convert it. I know
last
they
week
scored late. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's how that one ended because I
Yeah,
did
so
have
I mean,
Washington in a
they
parlay, so I do
almost
know for a
lost.
fact.
Yeah, they almost lost to a Saints team that didn't even have like they were on their third string quarterback. So yeah, Washington has not besides the Titans game, which was they kind of killed Tennessee. But remember, they lost to Pittsburgh, the Eagles, then they got beat by Dallas in that
Yep.
embarrassing game. And then if you really think about it, they barely beat the Giants. They should have lost to the Bears since the middle of October, since the Panthers win. They really haven't been that good of a team. And to be fair, like Jane Daniels has been solid, but the team around him is not great. I think people kind of jumped the shark on that one. But the Eagles, I mean, what can you really say about them right now? What? Okay, they beat the Panthers by 6. That's like their biggest like in the last month or two. They've beaten the Steelers, the Ravens, the Rams, the Commanders. I mean, in the big argument with them was like, oh, they were beating up on the Jaguars and the Bengals, and so no one's taking them seriously. They said, shut up. Here are good wins. Commanders, Rams, Ravens, Steelers. Like they didn't just beat Pittsburgh; they dominated Pittsburgh in that game.
Yep.
They played Baltimore very tough. Rams that killed the Rams on Sunday Football. So, yeah, I mean, I don't see any reason why the Eagles shouldn't win this one again. I know it's on the road. I know it's NFC East rivalry game, but I think the Eagles are far and away the better team. And let's not forget, guys, and even if Jaden Daniels has a bad game, he's a rookie quarterback. I mean, rookie quarterbacks are going to struggle. The fact that they've been this successful in year one with him, kudos to Washington. But yeah, I think the Eagles are definitely going to roll here.
And I will say one thing, you just kind of tip my brain with being like, who do the Eagles be, right? You were saying like the masses were saying the Washington, I almost said the R word. The Commanders have the second worst strength of schedule in the entire league.
Yeah.
So and again, this is more of a bet on the, and I usually differentiate too, like who I'm fading / taking type of thing. Like I'm betting more so on the Eagles. I'm not trying to defame the red the Commanders or Washington. But that being said, like if something people want to say that Philly's had an easy schedule, Commanders have an easier
easier schedule. Yeah,
an even easier. The even was throwing me off, Tasos.
Yeah.
An even easier one. But all right, you want to jump into round number 2 here?
Ready.
All right, I am leading us off here, and to be completely honest, 2 of my favorite plays have already been discussed in the show. I like the Rams and the Eagles.
Oh boy, so you're empty the chamber already.
Yeah, let's see what we got.
All right, what do you want if you had to? What would you like here?
Well, I got a player prop. Oh, keep going. I shouldn't have said it. I shouldn't have opened my damn mouth.
Money line.
I do have a player prop that I like, but money line will be coming first.
You better save it because it's not happening now.
No, it isn't. All right.
Oh, you look flustered. That's not a good sign for you.
No, I actually have a few money. Like I have a decent amount of money lines here. I just don't know if I go with one that I think is kind of chalky. I might do it. You know what? I'm gonna pivot. Oh, you always say you're caught between a few, right? Mm-hmm. I'm literally caught between like 3 or 4 money lines right now.
Oh boy.
All right, I'm gonna do this one. I do think that I don't know. Oh, you got me. Like,
I love it. I'm gonna put a timer for the people. I'm gonna put a timer for the people. 10.
No, I got this. I'll tell you afterwards and whatnot what I was thinking of in terms of chalk. But the one I'm gonna go with because I like the odds and because I do believe that the team that I'm picking could kind of exploit what this other defense kind of showed faults in. Miami Dolphins money line. I don't necessarily. I was gonna say I don't necessarily love it, but that's what you're. I think if the Rams can beat the 49ers in a situation like they did last week, the Dolphins can too. And honestly, I don't know exactly how much more I have to say other than that. Like, yes, I don't necessarily think that the Dolphins looked phenomenal last week or anything like that, right? But this 49ers team, I know that the game against the Rams was low scoring and all that, but let's not forget the Bears put up 38, right? Let's not forget that. Well, I guess before then they had looked well, I guess not necessarily okay, but either way, it's like I do think that if the Rams can do what they did last week, Miami, that's kind of my biggest thing. Miami can do better. You like that, huh?
I liked it because of, and this happens, and I know some people say it's stupid reasoning, but one team has still a lot at stake to play for. The other one is kaput. Like the Niners, Yes, mathematically they still could do it, but they're not. They're done. They're 6-8. Their team is banged up to all hell. Yes, technically they could still they're even only 2 games out of the division. Honestly, like they technically are still in this. But if you watch the Niners in that Rams game, this team's done. They're
Yep.
done. It's a year from hell. Pack it up. Close up shop. The Dolphins are 2 games back. They have a pretty favorable schedule the rest of the way. Like the rest is pretty easy, including this game. Miami, and then you look at something like Denver, Chargers, like they could realistically catch up to one of those 2 teams. It's going to be tough. That Texans loss really hurt them, but they can do it. And depending where you're getting, it's the odds. I think it's plus 100 on FanDuel. Oh, that's 49ers. Dolphins.
Yeah,
It's
no, I got minus 115, right?
Not bad. It's in Miami too. I think the Dolphins. This is a good game for them to go ahead and take care of business at home. They play really well at home. This is the Niners team that's just defeated. They're broken. You have the whole Devondre Campbell stuff that happened last week. Like this team is just an absolute disaster, and I feel bad for Niners fans because like this is kind of the end of that window because now you got to pay Brock Purdy. You're not going to be able to keep the super team assembled anymore. Miami, again, they're hanging on by a thread, but they still technically have more. They have a better shot at making the playoffs, in my opinion, than the Niners do. And
It is still like minimal, right?
Minimal, yeah.
But it's something.
Are the Niners defense going to be able to slow down Miami? And I don't know. I shouldn't maybe have reacted the way I did because I don't love Miami, but it definitely was one of my picks. It was one of my picks.
Okay, that's fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah, I jumped the gun a little bit.
You reacted like that was like the like.
I know
that was your fade me pick type of thing.
I know it's on my play sheet, like it's one of my plays, but it was more just I think these money lines. There's a couple of really close ones, so that was the one I liked. But I think the Niners are just done. That's my reasoning for it. I think the Bears win was a bad thing because it kind of tricked everyone. Like, oh, the Niners are still around. It's like if you take everything else around that, take the 4 weeks before it and the week after. This team's been a dumpster fire for a while now, and that one win against the Bears got blown up by the Vikings last night. So yeah, I think that the Niners are done. I think that game was a bit of an aberration. But my pick here, and I haven't obviously seen your Thursday Night Football video just yet, so I don't know where you're leaning with this. But I'm going to go ahead and rock with the Broncos on the money line here, plus 128. Again, I don't know what you're doing. You obviously have your video already done, so maybe you went opposite of this. The Chargers, I kind of called them out, and I called them a week early. I remember my Sunday Night Football video when they played the Bengals. I was like, guys, the sky's falling for them. It's going to come. Like the cracks in the foundation are there. And I was a week early. They did beat Cincinnati, but since then, they lose to Baltimore. They played well, but they lose to Baltimore. They beat Atlanta, but that was an ugly game. They should have lost that one. If they played anybody but Atlanta, they probably lose that game. Then they lose to the Chiefs. Yeah, that was the doink, but they still lost. And then they get absolutely whooped at home
by the Bucks,
by the Bucks, and their defense is not very good, and they got whooped. The Chargers are falling apart before our very eyes, and it was expected. They have a good defense, but offensively, especially when they lost J.K. Dobbins,
that's the biggest thing. Like they lost him since I'm not giving away what I said in Thursday Night Football video to anyone watching. I also said it was like a player prop heavy type of game for me, right? But they lost him in the Baltimore game, but like you know what I mean, like the Atlanta
Baltimore game, yeah.
So 3 weeks in a row, that offense look way different. So keep going, but
now you're going up against the Broncos defense, which has been hands down one of the top 5 best defenses this year. You're going against an offense that didn't look at the best at times in that Colts game. Bo Nix was a little bit shaky there, but overall, this offense is just good enough. Now I think it's gonna be a low scoring game. Again, I don't know what you picked. The under would probably be a play I would hand out because I think it's going to be a really low-scoring, ugly divisional game.
I did say that. We can let's rule that out for if we get Thursday Night Football now or even total. This is off the board because I didn't bet it myself, but I did lean towards both defenses are better than the offenses and whatnot. So that's off the board now. But I do agree with that. Keep going.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I just think Denver's the better team. I don't think it's by much. I don't think the Broncos are like leagues ahead of them. But this defense is legitimate. I don't see where the Chargers are going to generate points in this one. Now, they did play once this year already, and the Broncos did lose 23-16. However, that was back when Bo Nix, or it was back in early October. Bo Nix was still
different team. It was a different Broncos team.
It was a different Broncos team. The Broncos since then, if we go since that Chargers loss, that kind of was their last, they got blown up by Baltimore in that one game also. But they have been on a great run. Now you could argue who they played. But since that Chargers loss, they crushed the Saints, they crushed the Panthers, they lose to Baltimore, they lose to Kansas City, but that Kansas City game, again, another one where they almost beat them. Then they crush Atlanta, they beat Vegas, they beat Cleveland, that fun Monday Night Football game. Then they beat Indianapolis in what was actually a really big game because the Colts were only like 2 games away from them for a playoff spot, and they took care of business and crushed the Colts. So again, granted, they haven't really played anybody since that Chargers game worth mentioning, that they've beaten, I should say. They played Baltimore, they played Kansas City, but I think this Chargers team is just trending in the wrong direction. The Broncos are trending in the right direction. And I think Denver, I don't know. I trust this team just a little bit more. I think Jim Harbaugh is a great coach. I love Jim Harbaugh, but I do think Sean Payton does have a little advantage here in the coaching battle. I think Denver's defense is better than the Chargers defense. I think Bo Nix and this Broncos offense are able to make maybe 1 or 2 more plays, which could end up being the difference in this game. Mainly, it's a value play too for me, where it's like you're giving the Broncos at plus money. They're a 9-5 team who have been crushing teams, and their defense is legit. You're giving them for plus 130 or plus 128, depending where you're betting it. That's just great value.
I'm glad you mentioned the value because I'm not going to spoil what I said in the Thursday Night Football. I would say that I don't totally agree with you, and then agree with a lot you said. Right, 2 points to make here. I guess I can spoil to some degree. I did mention at one point that this game could go either way. That's a big thing that I would mention. Secondarily, you mentioned at the end, the value. It's like, I feel like this is a coin flip game. You got the plus 130 side. Why would you not take that coin? Whether it's heads, tails, you know what I mean? Sure. If I were to disagree with you, I would say that this is going to be by far and away the hardest game the Broncos have played in over a month. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, that's the biggest thing. But honestly, I can't really disagree with it. Even not spoiling the Thursday Night Football video, it's like I think that this is a game where I liked the under, and then I talked about a few player props and specific reasons why. I liked some of those player props, but yeah, I can't really argue it too much. I do think Justin Herbert may be in a better spot than Bo Nix here, but overall, I really can't disagree with too much of what you said. Like, J.K. Dobbins was the biggest blow, and one of the biggest reasons I think this Chargers offense is kind of taken a slump here. So yeah, I do agree with it.
Yeah, I'll disagree with you there. I don't really know why Herbert would be in the better spot. He doesn't have, his offense is not really that good to begin with.
It's just that was one of those Ev nerdy coverage and I don't know if it was, I forget what it was. I did it earlier today. 2 high, 1 high safety looks. Bo Nix has been ridiculously bad against, and the Chargers run the one that he's been ridiculously bad against. It's either 1 or 2 high safety. So it was one of those like deep read until chapter 17 looks, but it was just the case. Whereas Herbert kind of had a favorable. So that's it. You look at recent performance and even just like man versus zone alone. Yeah, I don't think that that's as apparent. And I think that you might be right that Bo Nix is like, looked good, but it was like sort of like situational. So yeah, don't get too hard pressed on that. But it was like when I do those soul game videos, I go like deep, and that was one of the things.
Yeah, your favorite movie is Moneyball, isn't it? You're
but I should be, right? Like, as someone that calls myself a dummy, I'm like, I love the idea of like a single high safety. He's bad against this. It's like I have an identity crisis going on right now.
I can't really hate. I literally preach in every NBA player prop video. Analytics is the name of the game, but it very much sounded like you're a guy who watches Moneyball once a day.
Once a day. Hey, R.I.P. Billy Bean there. All right, let's jump into the third round here. Tasos, like I said, I feel like you got a little bit of an advantage here just due to the fact that a lot of what I'm given and going through isn't necessarily like top of my list. You know what I mean? Like I've used a lot of the clip, and you've taken a lot of the clip, but you are going to lead us off here in this one, right?
Yep.
You looking for anything in this final round before Fade Me?
One more time. I'm just, listen, not that I don't have player props. I don't want people to think I'm not prepared. But obviously we record on a Tuesday, so the amount of player props available to us are limited. So I would prefer that we don't have any player props. But I'm prepared if we do have one. I have a lot of spreads in my back pocket.
Okay, so I read between the lines there. You want a spread. Let's see what we got.
I want a spread. Yeah, to put it plainly, I want a spread pick, please. And thank you. Let's see what the wheel gods declare. Slow,
keep going.
Oh! I thought I had another money line. I'm like, okay, all right, that's something.
All right. We got a player prop here, which is good. That gives a little diversity to the show here. No player props yet.
Yeah.
All right, you're starting us off. What do you got?
I'm where you are a couple minutes ago. I got to think about this one a little bit. Let's go ahead and see. Yeah. Give me 1 second here as I go through my list. Okay, I'm gonna end up having to take a Thursday night play, and I don't. You said you love the player props. I'm not a
I
huge
do.
fan
I
of
have a few. I have one that I'm probably rocking with. I just hope you don't take it.
All right. Well, now I kind of want to make sure I take it, but I don't know.
I don't know if you will.
I don't think I will. I don't. You seem like you have a pretty good read in the player props here in this one.
Yeah, but once I say it, you'll be like, that was your read. So don't. I wouldn't read too much, or read as much as you want into it. That's like the beauty of this. You go ahead and read into it, and then get in your head. Go ahead.
I got my pick, and it actually kind of contradicts my earlier pick, but I'm gonna go Bo Nix here, under 223.5 passing yards.
Okay.
Listen, I like the Broncos to win this game, but I'll be hands up honest. This is a good Chargers defense, and Bo Nix, he's had a good rookie year, but that Colts game last week gave me a little bit of worry. He only had 130 passing yards, and that Colts pass defense is not that good.
Yeah.
From a data standpoint, pretty good data too. I mean, he's gotten pretty close to cashing the over a few times, but 64% hit rate on the under. 9 out of 14 games this year, he's cashed it. He's averaging 212 passing yards per game, so his average is below this line. He really had that good 3-week stretch where he had 270 yards in 3 consecutive weeks. But let's be honest, it was the Falcons, it was the Raiders, and it was the Browns. All 3 teams not very good defensively, especially against the pass. So besides that, his other 2 games where he cashes over, Carolina, which again, not a very good defense. And then Pittsburgh's kind of the one where it's like, all right, that was interesting, but that was also back in week 2. So besides that game, including the last time these 2 teams played, he had 216 yards the last time they played. And they were playing behind most of the time, so they were throwing it a lot more. The Chargers are top 10 against the pass. Again, I think the Broncos will narrowly win this one. I think it's going to be a really tight, really low-scoring game. I just don't see Denver completing a ton of passes or big yardage plays. Again, they're only giving up 211 passing yards per game this season, which is 10th best in the league. So, yeah, that's my play. I think Bo Nix, even if he has a decent game, I just don't see him throwing for over 225. I just don't see it happening. This Chargers defense is too good. A lot of quarterbacks are struggling to throw, let alone a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird year for us so far because there's so much agreement here. If there's a way to try and attack this Chargers defense, or not necessarily trying to attack, but to try to get to their weakness and whatnot, this year, and even I guess I would say as of late, has been their rush game. Their run defense has been so bad. Why would Denver, who may even have a rushing advantage in this spot, yes, have they been rushing for a lot? No. But when you think about the Chargers, no J.K. Dobbins, okay, well, Denver is still, I guess McLaughlin's questionable, but they have Javonte, they have their rush attack. Is it a good rush attack? No. But if they want to try and dominate this game, we both already agreed it's somewhat of an under. I really don't mind Bo Nix, the passing yards. One spot here that I do think that Bo Nix struggles against, and like I mentioned, I looked into this, is the idea of how the Chargers play their safeties. And Bo Nix's turnover-worthy throws and his success rate and his accuracy drops drastically. So it's the Denver team is still a good team, and Bo Nix makes plays when it counts. I don't think either of us would say, based on these 2 plays, that's not the case, right? But is he going to have this consistent pew type game? I really don't see how he does in a sense. So yeah, I can't hate on the under in the passing yards whatsoever, especially even if you say you like the Broncos, say you like Bo Nix. I don't know if they rely on Bo Nix to win this game. This has to be sort of a conservative, gritty, let's win the game, because the Chargers have only scored 17 points per game in the last 3 weeks. Yeah. So let's not sling it. Let's just try and score, 20. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm kind of on pace. On that beat, like I said, it's weird that we agree with a lot of plays so far this year, but that's not a play that I don't mind whatsoever.
Let's just call it what it is. We're sharp. We're sharp this year. We're pretty sharp this year.
I cut myself every single day.
All right, that's
in a sad way. No, in a non-sad way.
Don't cut that though. I want people to know Ev edits the videos, so sometimes if he goofs up and he cuts it, so just let it be known.
You're gonna use the word "cut" after all that?
Yeah, I have to. The one last thing I'll say, if you guys are hesitant on how I feel like the Broncos will win and he doesn't get this, they literally did it last game. Their blueprint's right there. They won 31-30. They scored 31 points against the Colts, and he only had 130 passing yards in that game. So that's it's definitely doable. He's done a lot. I mean, look at a lot of their games. I mean, they scored 33 points on the Saints, and he had 164 passing yards in that game. So, I mean, they can win.
He's still a rookie quarterback. He's still a rookie quarterback where you don't want to just put the ball in his, you know what I mean? Like
Sean Payton's good with that. Sean Payton's a smart coach. He's not going to be like, hey, here, go throw it 40 to 45 times and go get us the victory. Like
and Tasos, when you have a good defense, it's like we don't need the rookie to even just to save him, right? We don't need him to make a mistake that he's going to impact and compound. You know what I mean? So I don't mind it. I am looking at a way less sexy player prop. It is in Thursday Night Football. I'm looking at the kicker of the Denver Broncos. Will Lutz over 1.5 field goals, -135 MGM right now. The recent trends and data doesn't look all that tremendous, but this is the number one team in the entire league in red zone efficiency. I don't think Denver's going to be this like offensive juggernaut in this game. How can Will Lutz not kick 2 field goals? You tell me how.
I can't, because I don't know what it is with you this year. I don't know. Were you secretly is this something we don't know? Like, were you a kicker in high school or something, and you just
I was a slot receiver and I got 7 concussions. So there we go.
Well, that's a lot. That's a big difference.
That's a huge difference.
What is with you and the kicker props? Like, you literally, and you know what? I can't hate on them because you're good. You're good at them. But I'm just saying, like,
2 field goals. That's it.
Yeah. I honestly, I'm not even gonna try to rebuttal. I love the pick. Love it. I'm actually gonna bet it myself.
All right, here we go. I love it.
I'm nothing I can say about it. It makes a lot. The Broncos are going to score points. It's going to be off of multiple field goals. I think it's pretty safe that he could even have. You can even go an alternate line, go maybe Alti Ev 2.5 field goals. I think he'd probably cash that. So
remember when I took the last kicker prop? So his kicker points is 6.5.
Yeah,
I elected for the 1.5 field goals because of the red zone defense and whatnot. Where do you come out on those two? Because I think you have this. I think 1.5 is the right play to go. Right. It's not like what team that I think it was the Bucks or something.
No, I think points. Was it the Cowboys?
I don't remember.
I think it was Brandon Aubrey or something. Oh no, was it the Colts kicker? I think it was the Colts kicker in when they played the Vikings with that Sunday Night Football game. I think you had the Colts kicker in that game, and we kind of argued was 6.5 kicking points or 1.5 field goals, which one was the better one. But in this case, I think the field goal is the way to go.
I think that they could have a couple stops, and again, like both of us have already tipped our hand at like the under. You know what I mean? It's like field goals could matter in this game, and Will Lutz is obviously a veteran kicker. He's in a dome here, right? Am I right? The Chargers play in a dome. Is that correct?
I feel like I should know the answer to that, but
me too. I think I do know the answer, but now that I said it, I think so. But
wow, this is bad on us. We're football. I mean, it's in Los Angeles though, so why would it be in a dome?
SoFi is a dome. Is not a dome. Okay, all right.
I don't think so. They're in LA. But I don't know why would they need a dome.
Well, I guess, but it's like a dome in a sense.
They're not getting snow. They're not getting snow anytime soon over there.
Okay,
hell freezes over.
I think there's like an outdoor part that's covered though, if I'm not mistaken.
So from this angle, there's something covering it.
Boom! Yeah. Come on, give me. I mean, does that mean?
Oh yeah, that looks like it's like a glass ceiling,
like a canopy glass ceiling. Though it's like I said, like there's an outdoor area, but it's covered. That was my original take.
I guess the easier way to do this should be just does SoFi Stadium have a roof?
That's a good question.
Does SoFi Stadium have a roof? I mean, I feel like that was the easier way to go about this. We're just, we give gambling picks. We don't really go. This is not our.
Dude, I'm not an architect. What do you want me to do here?
H2H, come for the gambling picks. Stay for the
NFL
stadium roofs.
Jump into the fade me around here. Guys, if you guys don't know how this goes, it's the most like pinnacle point of this show. This is Tasos, how you literally took the dub last week.
Yeah.
Now you double down on it, which, by the way, double down. I know Tasos did earlier, and we didn't really explain it for the new viewers. That just means you put 2 units on something. If you double down in a fade me round, it does not mean that I put 2 units on the other side. You just take your own side as double down. So Tasos, do you want this week or not?
Yes.
Okay, you got one in the clip that you haven't emptied yet.
Not even so much that. It's more just, and credit to you. You've been hot this year. I don't want you to decide my fate. You're going to pick another random kicking prop, and I'm going to have to take the opposite of that. I don't want that.
True enough. Right. Let's go ahead and spin it. Dome versus roof. Dome versus roof. Dome.
The fight of the century.
Oh, that's going to be you. It's going. Yep.
It's going to be me.
All right.
Throwback to...
was that Backstreet or Instinct?
I think it was Instinct.
Here we go. It's going to be another dome versus roof.
I'm pretty sure it's Justin Timberlake.
Okay. All right, what do we got? What am I taking the opposite of? You killed me on it last week.
You know what? For a second there, I was waiting for you. I'm like, is he going to say the pick or what?
No. This does show on my other screen a big Tasos.
Yeah. No. I just brain fart for a second. I was like, is he going to make a pick or what? He's just sitting there. All right. I have a couple options here. Now, the question is, which option do I go with?
Always a question.
It is always the question. All right. Yeah, I'm going to go with this one just because I'm riding the hot hand. And I don't trust this other team all that much. Sunday Night Football, just a spoiler alert, because obviously I do my Sunday Night Football plays. I'm going to go with Tampa Bay here against the Cowboys. I am going to play on the safer side. I'm going to take a -3, which is, give me 1 second here. I'm getting that from -145 on ESPN Bet. So that is Tampa Bay -3.
Yep.
Did you not just see them dismantle the Chargers last week? This Bucs team, again, they're now 8-6. They're first place in the NFC South. They're gunning for a playoff spot. They look really, really good. Now, the Cowboys did just beat Carolina, so kudos to them. They did win a game, and they actually beat them pretty soundly, too. But I have not forgotten that Monday Night Football game to the Bengals, nor the Thanksgiving game where I know they won it, but it was the Giants.
Yep.
I just don't trust the Cowboys. Like I know they're winning, and they're actually now like 6-8, and they technically still have a chance at the playoffs also. It's the Cowboys. The defense is getting better, yes, but I don't trust them at all in this spot. I think Tampa Bay, with the way they're playing right now, it's hard for me to want to fade them in any which way. I mean, I know the Carolina win, they should have probably lost that game if Chuba Hubbard doesn't gift them the game. But since they've gotten Mike Evans back, they have been on a great run. They're 4-0 since his return. They crushed the Giants. They beat the Panthers. They crushed the Raiders. They crushed the Chargers. Again, have they played the toughest schedule since then? No. But even before Mike Evans got hurt, they lose by a field goal to the Niners. They lose by 6 to the Chiefs in a tight game.
They were still putting up points.
Yeah, they're still putting up points. I mean, they had a brutal stretch of a schedule there where they lost a bunch of games, but they also had a lot of injuries pile up, and they still were playing good in those games. The Cowboys also, the insights provided by Outlier there, 1-8 against the spread in the last 9 games at home. Jerry World, those blinding lights, although it will be a Sunday Night Football game, those blinding lights do not fare well for their team. This is more as much as I like Tampa Bay, but it's also I'm fading the Cowboys in this spot because I just think Dallas, like the 49ers, yes, they're technically still alive, but they have so many injuries, so many things. And like, do you really trust Cooper Rush to win you a game like this in prime time? I don't. So I'm going with the Bucs here. I don't know how you feel about taking Cowboys +3.
Yeah, I do hate that. I hate it. I do hate it. This if the Cowboys, now I was on the Cowboys last week for plus money. If the Cowboys didn't win last week, I might be like, at some point the Cowboys do have this win in their pocket. They're the Cowboys. You know what I mean? This is a Bucs team that essentially, and I think I have this. Let's see, I pulled it up. If the Bucs win this game, they have a 94% chance of winning going to the playoffs. Even if the Cowboys win, they still have like a 1% chance. So even you being like, oh, they got a chance. Yeah, they do. But this could be this could be the punching their ticket to the playoffs for the Bucs. And the Cowboys just won last week. And this Bucs team, like Baker Mayfield is absolutely legit. They're a definition of a team that kind of gets points no matter how. Like we've seen Bucky Irving, Tuck. Like we've seen so many of these guys just like have these games, and it's like, yeah, this Bucs is just a good offense. They're still not getting that credit for it, like whatsoever. I said in my video last week that because everyone knows the Bucs are a good offense, right? But I said in my video last week, the Bills on the difference, I was like, everyone knows, and I think I said in this video at one point, I was like, the Bills are so good, but no one's giving them exactly how much credit they deserve. Like everyone knows they're an AFC favorite. They could win and then they beat the Lions. You know what I mean? This is a Bucs team that people are acknowledging are as good offensively, just like I said, to use the analogy of everyone's like, yeah, the Bills are a good team. I don't think people realize how good this Bucs offense is. against the Dallas team, like Dallas is a bad defense. Forget that. Even if they did, like how does Dallas keep up points wise with the Bucks? Even if the Bucks defense stinks, how does Dallas keep up points wise? So yeah, I mean they dropped 30 against Carolina. Big whoop. I know Tampa Bay's defense isn't all that great, but I mean not for nothing, the defense doesn't look terrible. They played bad teams. You mentioned that, but this offense is absolutely legit. So if it's an offensive game, and which it should be with Dallas, I hate my spot.
The other big thing for me here with Tampa Bay is that they definitely, yes, they have the lead in the division. They have a 1-game lead, but the problem is they don't have the tiebreaker the Falcons do. Now, to be totally fair to Tampa Bay, their schedule is pretty weak the rest of the way. They play Dallas, and then they have Carolina and New Orleans, although New Orleans, they've been pretty frisky since they brought in the interim coach. So, I would call
Tampa Bay was the team that stopped New Orleans, right? Wasn't that when New Orleans, like week 3 or whatever it was, they were like really good, and Tampa Bay beat them
that
like
was back
60.
then. But now since they fired Dennis Allen, the Saints have kind of taken on a second identity of like, we're going to play spoiler. They almost won last week against Washington. So the Saints are frisky. I wouldn't count that as necessarily an easy pushover game. They've been even the Rams, they played them really tight. So, they played the Panthers, but the Panthers too have also been, a tight one in that game. The Buccaneers probably should have lost that game the last time they played. So, nothing's for certain. And I think the big thing here is that Atlanta, if you've been reading the news, they might finally pull the trigger and bench Kirk and put Penix in.
Penix, yeah.
That could be a game changer because Atlanta, they have the pieces there. Kirk Cousins does not look good right now. You put Penix in there and he lights it up. You only have a 1-game cushion. You lose this game and Atlanta wins. The Atlanta Falcons have they have Washington, which is the big one. But besides that, they have they play the Giants this week and they play the Panthers last week. So they don't have a brutal schedule in any means either. So I just think the margin for error is so small because they have that tiebreaker over you. You can't afford a loss to a team like Dallas, especially when you have some division games coming up that could be tough. Yep. Take care of business, win this game, keep that cushion. You lose this game, Atlanta beats New York. Now all of a sudden you're on the outside looking into the playoffs. So kind of a big game for Tampa Bay. Prime time though, Baker Mayfield in Dallas. Do you really trust Cooper Rush in prime time? And that's kind of where I came. That was kind of where I came to my decision at the end of the day was Cooper Rush in prime time, this Cowboys team in prime time. I just do not trust them in any which way. I prefer Tampa Bay. They are the hot hand. I'm going to ride the hot hand. And again, the fact that Tampa Bay is only a 3.5 or whatever, their 4-point favorite, they should probably be more. I think the market's overvaluing Dallas a little bit, like we've seen from a couple of these games. So I think Tampa Bay is the right play. I would not feel comfortable being on the Dallas side of things, I'll be honest. But I had a couple other options. I was going to play even safer, but I said, you know what, this is the route I'll go ahead with. So Tampa Bay -3 is the fade me play for this week.
Yeah, I do hate being on Dallas. Like I said, if they hadn't won last week, then maybe I'd be like, at some point they're gonna do this. No, why? All the situations, forget the situations. Even if Tampa Bay was like 1 in 14 or 13, and Dallas might have been a playoff team, and Tampa Bay had still been putting up these offensive numbers, but just getting bad breaks and losing. It's like I don't see where Dallas's offense comes and competes. So yeah. I'm on your side here, which stinks. Now I have to. You've been I've had these player props and whatnot that I pin like a good spot for me, right? When I have fade me, you've been superb this year at giving me the Giants, the Panthers, that's been your strong suit. You probably should have done that all year long. But I do hate the Cowboys. Yeah, you are literally giving me bottom feeders, and it's like, what are we doing here? But how do you feel?
That's the beauty of it, because even if you do win, imagine just having to sit there on the couch on a Sunday and be like, I'm rooting for the 6-8 Dallas Cowboys to save my week in H2H, and like that just gross to me because it's like you're rooting for this garbage, like the Giants I did a couple weeks ago to you last week, the Niners, like having to watch that Thursday night game and root for the Niners. Oh,
yep. True.
Yikes.
Yeah, 100%.
I felt for you. Not really.
How do you feel about your board this week?
This is probably, I don't want to overhype this, maybe my favorite board so far. I just feel like from start to finish, every single play was one. I didn't get forced into a single pick. Like every single pick was written down beforehand. I had it prepared. Like, every week there's been like one pick where like either like player prop touchdown, I didn't have anything, or fade me, I got forced into a pick. This is the first week, maybe not the first, but one of the only weeks where it's like from start to finish, they were all 4 picks I had already predetermined I wanted to give on the show, and I got them. So it feels good.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm kind of like, if I were to give it like an out of 10 rating, I'm like a 6.8. You know what I mean? 6. I got picks I liked. That Rams one was definitely on my board there. I do like the Dolphins play. I know that you were kind of pondering that around, but yeah, I feel like if you're thinking this is one of your better ones, I know I've had the better year. I don't know if I would say this is like one of my better ones. So you might have the advantages going in just raw feel, but obviously the ball hasn't been thrown around yet, so we'll see how that goes. But any last remarks here for the people before we sign off?
No, just brick by brick, one step at a time. We're just little by little. We've now won 3 of the last 4 weeks, but I do want to say one more time, like we do need to keep winning because the margin for error, like we have 7, including this video. We have 7 H2H videos left. Now, if you give me the preseason win, that put me at 6-9. Pause. I would need to basically lose no more than 2 more times the rest of the year just to have a chance. So like,
Yep.
I basically need to go, and that's if I get the preseason win. If I don't get that, then I need to basically go
because the Eagles are
6-1.
creeping. David Montgomery's out now for Eagles in the NFC. Things are creeping.
So
but
I
hear you.
Go 6-1 the rest of the way.
All right. Well, I do wish you the best of luck solely for the show's entertainment purposes. I do for the but I would love to even this thing up. If you guys don't know, Tasos spanked me last year. So if you're a new viewer and we have a lot of new subscribers, things are kind of even in this boat. But nonetheless, guys, that is going to wrap it up for this week of H2H. Yeah, go ahead and comment down below. We got a lot of Team Tasos last week, and you guys were all right. Comment down below if you're Team Ev or Team Tasos. I think that's all I got for the people, Tasos. You sign off?
Sign off. Let's do it, guys. We'll see you back here next week. Hopefully, another win in my pocket. Either way, win or lose, we'll be back next week ready to roll. So thank you very much, guys. And we'll see a Christmas special next week, so probably a little bit earlier in the week next week. So excited for that one.